In a small town just outside of Cleveland, Frank, a retired bus driver now 68 years old, begins his morning the same way he has for decades. The quiet hum of the refrigerator, the faint creak of the floorboards, and the steady routine of black coffee before sunrise. Yet this morning is different. As he sits up in bed, he feels an unusual heaviness pressing down on his chest. It is not the crushing pain that movies dramatize, not the dramatic signal he expected if his heart were in trouble, but a dull, suffocating weight that radiates slowly into his shoulders. He tells himself it is heartburn from last night's greasy dinner and tries to brush it aside, but the sweat forming across his brow tells another story. His wife, worried by the sight of him pale and short of breath, insists on a trip to the hospital. Hours later, doctors explain that his main artery was almost completely blocked, and had he waited any longer, he might not have survived. What Frank experienced was a reminder that heart attacks in older adults rarely follow the dramatic script people expect. Sometimes they whisper instead of scream, appearing as nausea, fatigue, jaw pain, or discomfort that feels more like indigestion than crisis. Ignoring these subtleties can turn fatal in minutes. Meanwhile, in Boston, Maria, 73, and a beloved grandmother, has always been the center of her family gatherings. Her kitchen is the heart of the home, filled with the smell of roasted chicken, laughter of children, and the clinking of dishes. One summer morning, her daughter walks in to find Maria wearing a heavy winter coat despite the sweltering July heat. Maria seems confused, asking repeatedly what day it is and where she has left her purse. Her family assumes it is ordinary forgetfulness, but within minutes it becomes clear this is something far more alarming. She cannot recognize her grandson, cannot recall simple details, and when asked to repeat a short sentence, she stumbles and grows agitated. Sudden confusion in seniors is not harmless. It is a red flare for emergencies, like stroke, severe infection, spreading through the bloodstream, or dangerous interactions from medications. Too many families dismiss these symptoms as aging, losing critical hours. Maria's family rushes her to the hospital where doctors treat an infection before it turns to sepsis. Their quick decision saves her memory, her independence, and perhaps her life. In Austin, Texas, Linda, a lively 69-year-old with a love for gardening, is awakened at 3 a.m. with an unnerving sensation. She cannot catch her breath. Each inhale feels shallow, as if she is trying to pull air through a straw. When she lies flat, the struggle intensifies, and she bolts upright, clutching the sheets. By sunrise, even the walk from her bedroom to the kitchen leaves her breathless. She convinces herself it must be allergies or the Texas heat, but her symptoms tell a deeper truth. In older adults, sudden breathlessness is often the body's signal of a struggling heart fluid, backing into the lungs, or even a blood clot blocking circulation. When the heart cannot pump effectively, the lungs pay the price, and sleep becomes a battle for air. Linda notices her ankle swollen, her body heavier by a few unexplained pounds, and a cough she cannot shake. These are not inconveniences to wait out, but alarms demanding urgent care. In the emergency room, doctors stabilize her heart before it gives out completely. Farther north in Portland, George, 74, begins his morning with what he first thinks is an ordinary headache. But within seconds, the pain explodes like a thunderclap, dropping him to the floor. The agony is blinding, radiating through his skull, accompanied by vomiting and a terrifying sense that something inside his head has ruptured. For someone his age, especially on blood thinners, this kind of sudden severe headache is never just stress or fatigue. It can mean bleeding in the brain, a ruptured aneurysm, or dangerously high blood pressure pushing the body past its limits. Unlike gradual headaches that fade with rest or medication, this pain is immediate, unrelenting, and catastrophic if ignored. Luckily, George's neighbor hears the crash call's emergency services, and doctors act quickly to stop the bleeding before permanent damage is done. In Florida, Sharon, a 71-year-old widow who spends her mornings tending to her rose bushes, doubles over at her kitchen table with stabbing abdominal pain. She blames it on spoiled leftovers, thinking it will pass if she drinks tea and rests. But the pain grows sharper, spreading into her back, leaving her clammy and weak. Hours slip by as she waits, hoping it will ease. Yet for seniors, severe abdominal pain is often a mask for much more dangerous conditions. Ruptured aneurysms, intestinal blockages, internal bleeding, or even heart attacks that disguise themselves as stomach distress. Unlike simple indigestion, this pain does not shift when she changes position, does not calm with antacids, and comes with dizziness that makes her fear she will collapse. When a neighbor insists on driving her to the hospital, doctors discover an emergency that could have ended her life had she waited any longer. These stories unfolding in different corners of America are bound by the same lesson. Too often the early signs of life-threatening conditions are ignored, brushed off as nothing more than the inconveniences of aging. A dull ache here, a moment of forgetfulness there, breathlessness mistaken for asthma, headaches assumed to be stress, stomach pain dismissed as bad food. All are the body's cries for help that seniors and families cannot afford to overlook. The difference between tragedy and survival is often a single decision to act instead of waiting. In each of these lives, survival hinged on recognizing the urgency. Frank's artery was cleared before his heart failed. Maria's confusion was reversed before it left permanent scars on her memory. Linda's lungs were relieved before her heart gave out. George's brain was saved before the bleeding destroyed it. Sharon's pain was explained and treated before it claimed her life. None of these outcomes were guaranteed. They happened because someone chose not to dismiss the signs, because families acted rather than hesitated. The message is not about fear, but about empowerment. Every household can take simple steps keeping an updated list of medications on the refrigerator, knowing the local emergency number, practicing small health checks like asking a loved one to repeat a sentence, or noticing when breathing changes overnight. These actions may seem minor, but they save lives every day. Communities play a role too, from pharmacists reviewing medications to neighbors checking on elderly friends. Each small gesture is a shield against disaster. As these survivors gather with their families on warm evenings, sharing laughter over barbecue grills and backyard games, they embody a truth everyone should remember. The body often whispers before it screams. Recognizing those whispers, whether it is an unusual chest pressure, sudden disorientation, unexplained breathlessness, The worst headache imaginable or relentless abdominal pain can mean the difference between life and death. By listening, acting quickly, and refusing to dismiss the unusual lives are not only saved, but extended, allowing more mornings, more meals, and more memories for those we love.